There we go. Yo. What's going on, man? Today is February the 7th, 2024. It's your boy Chris, and this is another edition of the late night early bird NBA ChrisBeCappinn NBA show. Been doing these night shows for the whole week, man. And probably stop at some point, but it's been fun, man. I'm enjoying getting ahead of the lines. It's been a profitable week. So hopefully we can kind of keep things rolling in that direction. If you guys are joining, I especially if you find the show valuable. If you've been cashing on some of the plays, just kind of using some of the early analysis to make your own plays, and they've been cashing, I would appreciate it if you guys hit the like button for me if you can. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Also, and definitely turn the notification bell on, because I don't know if you guys know, but I'm not posting the time that I'm going live. I'm just going live when I get done, handicapping the games, specifically after the first set of games go off. I've already, looked into the spots. I'm watching the game. I got an iPad to my right. I got, TVs to my left, smart, all kind of technology everywhere. So I'm watching the late games, and I talked heavily about taking two of these late spots, but I didn't quite get there on the day. And last thing I'll say about this real quick is just all my live and official plays are in the description. I'm just a tad bit upset because I tried to give out a live play earlier and couldn't give it out. The quarter had started too early. It was the end of the third quarter. I was trying to take the Charlotte and Indiana game. I'm sorry, the Charlotte and Toronto game to go under after that massive third quarter. I think this combined for like 70 points, and I figured it was going to slow down. I couldn't get that one out. Didn't want to give it out too late, so I ended up not giving that one out. But we do go 1-0 on the day. We were on the Washington Wizards team total under. I think I said that it was 5 plays that I liked yesterday, and I think those 5 plays did pretty well. It was I know the Boston Celtics first half didn't cash. They just kind of sleptwalked through the first quarter, even without DeJounte Murray. But we'll see how the last 2 games go, because I did say Pelicans gotta fade the Clippers coming back home. And I also said Pistons, but I didn't want them without Bogdanovich and Caden. Still wouldn't lay that number with Sacramento, so I still kind of lean that way. Maybe I'll take a live spot in this game. But yeah, those were the ways I was looking. The only thing I actually played though was the Washington team totals to stay under, and that wasn't even really sweaty. So you guys see the update on the screen. We're gonna jump into the games for today. Not gonna be here for a long time. Just trying to be here for a good time, a short time. Give you guys the information on these games. We're gonna get up out of here, man. So let's jump right into it. Like I said, hit the like button for me if you guys can. First game we got is, and I didn't even update the total in this game because when I was handicapping it, there wasn't a total that was out. I think we do have a total now. Let's see what that total is. That total is 251, which is crazy, man. 251, one of the highest totals we've seen. And you got Indiana laying 5.5, 6. And this was the spot, right? I talked about this game last night. It's not, and I still, kind of want to get there. Golden State did what they were supposed to do tonight. Went to Philly and got a big win. I didn't think that they were going to be able to win the game in the fashion that they were able to win the game. But Philly, man, looking like a real shell of themselves with all the injuries that they're dealing with. Absolutely got smoked tonight. And you see Golden State really not have to play their starters, heavy minutes. I really wanted to fade Golden State. I know I talked about it yesterday, but they won 127-104. Let's just look real quick. Yeah, Steph only played 24 minutes. Clay, for what it's worth, played 18 minutes. Kuminga's super young. He played the most minutes at 29. So, I mean, granted, tomorrow is a 5th game in 7 nights for this team. Always a fade spot, and that's why I think you see the line open at 6. But I was gonna go. It was gonna be a nice little play on Indiana. I may still get there, but I just I don't know. I don't like it as much now since Golden State didn't have to like let the dogs. I went in and looked at it and everything. Golden State since 2019 when they're playing the 5th game in 7 nights. I want to say they were 2-6 straight up and against the spread. You have to, and a lot of the times, Steve Kerr would rest his guys. Like he would rest, the big 3, and not even play them. So yeah, I couldn't. I like it really didn't even need too much of a handicap outside of it, being a really bad spot because Golden State, this will be their 5th straight road game, 3rd game in 4 nights, 4th game in 6 nights, and like I said, 5th game in 7 nights as well. And they're coming off, back-to-back wins. They beat Brooklyn, beat Philly on one day's rest, and the trends kind of line up more so towards Golden State because they are, really they're better on the road than they are at home for whatever reason, especially against the spread. 13, 14, and 8 against the spread. Indiana's not necessarily a terrible home team. They're 14, 11, and 2 against the spread, but you don't really want to lay too many points with Indiana, man. Indiana's one of those teams that, especially with Halliburton, we know he's still going to be on a minutes limit as well. He's listed as questionable, but he probably going to play. Ben Mathurin also missed that last game with an illness. He'll probably come back tomorrow as well. It's still a Pacers spot. It's Pacers and nothing. If I had to play the game, but like I said, don't like it as much. I think Golden State, what happens when you're in the fifth game in 7 nights? I think you run out of gas, and I think that they do, man. I definitely think that they do. I mean, you still got to deal with the fastest paced offense, the best offensive team in the league as well on the other side, and Indiana been scoring the ball, man. We saw what they did to Houston, dropped 132 points at home, 122 against Sacramento, even though they did lose that game. They're not playing any defense. So if I'm looking at the total, I probably still end up going over, but I got to do a lot of handicapping to get to an over 251. But I'm not wasting your time on this game. I just really, really wanted, like I said, to take the Pacers. Just thought that this was just thought Philly would give him a little more of a fight, man. Like I said in last night's video. So we'll keep it moving. Next game up, we got Spurs, who will be in Orlando. The San Antonio Spurs team that played tonight. And they did lose. This line was actually 10.5. It's up to 11 already. And the total's going up as well. Opened at 223.5. It's all the way. It's at 224, 224.5 at some books already. This is a fairly new line just because San Antonio did play tonight. So first thing I did when I was looking into this game was I wanted to see how San Antonio did on no days rest, right? When they're playing on the second leg of a back-to-back. San Antonio's 2-6 straight up when they're unrested. 28th in defensive efficiency, 15th in offensive efficiency. And that kind of led me to in Orlando. I mean, you look at the spot, right? Orlando's coming back home, off the road trip, and they've done well at home over the course of the season. They're 15-7 straight up, 14 and 7 against the spread at home. That should be 15. I think 15-7 against the spread at home. So this, you just having to lay a premium with Orlando. Now, will they win this game by 11, 12 points? I'm not sure. That's a humongous number. I'm pretty sure this is the biggest number that Orlando has laid this season. I mean, San Antonio is 10-40, but the number is just too inflated. It's a little too inflated. Like I said, the other thing about this is for what I was thinking was San Antonio, while they are on the second leg of a back-to-back, they, the travel is short from Miami to Orlando, but also they had 3 days off before. So I think if I'm playing the game, I may even potentially get there, if I had to play the game, had to play a side, it may be even San Antonio, because this line probably it's at 11 now. It might even go to 12 by game time tomorrow. Orlando has nobody on the injury report. Not sure if San Antonio will, but their injury report was pretty clean tonight in the game in Miami. I think the play in the game is Orlando team total over. You look at the total right now, I would bet the over on their team total. So 224.5 is 112. 112 plus 5.5 is like 117.5. I think they give that up. I think looking at San Antonio, their defense has been a lot better. I talked about that on last night's show, talking about the Miami game and how I like their team total under in that spot and the full game under, which both of those cash. I don't think they bring it on the defensive end. Like I said, I gave you guys the numbers: 28th in defensive efficiency, playing on the second leg of a back-to-back. Orlando is not a team that really loses when they're playing against an opponent that doesn't force a lot of turnovers, and San Antonio doesn't. They have such a big advantage in the front court outside of Victor Wembanyama. They just beat San Antonio, laying 6 in San Antonio on just last week. And that was a game where they blew San Antonio out. San Antonio did come back late in that game. They were laying 6 on the road. So now you see this number, like I said, up to 10.5, 11. Probably going to get even worse for San Antonio, but not a game I'm super interested in betting. I think it's maybe some better spots on the board. And I'll tell you guys right off the top, this card is not the greatest. I think this card is pretty trash. So we'll keep going. Next game up, we got the Cleveland Cavaliers. They will be in Brooklyn, taking on the Brooklyn Nets. This line was at 6 when I made the graphic earlier. Let me just double check and make sure it's still there. Yeah, it is still 6, and the total is coming down. Well, I had 223. I see 224 now down to 220, 220. 225 down to 224. And I agree. I think this is an under game. I do think this is an under game. When these two teams typically match up, they do go under. You had this will be the I think this will be the third meeting of the season between these two teams. And Cleveland's been red hot. Even tonight, in DC, they didn't cover the 11.5 point spread, but 11.5 is crazy to lay on the road in the first leg of a back-to-back. And that's why we took the team total under and stayed away from the spread. But they held that Washington team to 106 points, and that was with Kyle Kuzma back. Sacramento 110. So Cleveland's been really really good to us. I know they'll be on the second leg of a back to back. I do need to look a little bit more into. Matter of fact, let's do it real quick. I need to look a little bit more into Sacramento to Cleveland specifically on no days rest to see just where they kind of where they fall when they're unrested. So let's look into that real quick. This was one thing I had wrote down that I didn't get a look into, but I like the under. I think looking at Brooklyn, they'll be missing Lonnie Walker. He's already ruled out. Cam Johnson's already ruled out, and Dorian Finney-Smith also already ruled out. Both teams have played a slew of games, which is why I don't really like Cleveland on the spread. If you go in and I didn't write all the numbers down, but I was just looking at it like, man, this is not the greatest spot for any of these teams. And let's see, Cleveland 3-4 straight up. They're 27th in offensive rating, but they're the 10th best defense. So that to me, that tells me that the game goes under, and I like it. I like it from that perspective. I don't trust Brooklyn's offense either. Brooklyn, they've been playing some pretty good defense, but their offense is so stagnant. It's all about whether they can knock down the 3-point shot, because that's really all they do. Spencer Dinwiddie, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson will put the ball on the floor, but none of the other guys really want to shoot. Royce O'Neal, none of the other guys really want to get to the rim. So Cleveland being, one of the better 3-point defensive teams, I think this is an under game. That's on my short list. Haven't bet it yet, but I'm leaning towards this Cavs and Nets game to go under. Right now, best total I see is 224. I don't think so. 224 divided by 2, 112. Take 3 subtract 3. So 115 to 109 is what the projected score is, and I don't think that they get there. I really, really don't. Going back to, and this is the last thing I'll say on this game before we keep it moving. Going back to, just the recent games. Like I was mentioning this at first. These totals have opened around this one. So these two teams played at the beginning of the season. It might have been game 1 or 2, and Cleveland beat Brooklyn by 1 in Brooklyn. I remember this game 114 to 113. That game did go over to 219, but then they played in the London game, and that game went under. It was 111 to 102. So Cavs have won both games, but Brooklyn did cover the 1.5 point spread in the first game. I'm just not. I know they got Ben Simmons. I'm just not. I just don't believe in Brooklyn. The way they play basketball, I'm not a big believer, and they're down body. So I don't think the Cavs are going to rest anybody in this spot, but I would definitely wait on the injury report for that. And that's another reason why I'm not playing this game quite yet. So we'll keep it moving and get over here to the Garden, Madison Square Garden. So we got the Mavs. They are laying 2.5. I got 3 on the screen. It was 3 when I first saw it. Total 232.5 down to 231. So some money already coming in on the under in this spot. And this was a game that you kind of, to me anyway, you got to know the news about Brunson. So that makes this game, unplayable from the beginning. For the Dallas side, Lively he has already been ruled out. He missed this entire little road trip that Dallas is on. And then Maxi Kleber is listed as questionable. That's big news, because Kleber, in my opinion, I thought Dallas was going to go on this road trip and really struggle defensively. But Dallas actually on this road trip has not really struggled defensively. I mean, they just held Brooklyn to 107 points. They held Philly to 102 points. Now, granted, that's not the Philly Team, but both of those games have actually gone under. Dallas is actually going under in 4 straight games. Even when they were playing at home, versus the Bucks, that game went under as well, even though it started off pretty fast paced. So I understand the under. I think both of these teams are playing pretty slow. But going back to Maxi Kleber, when you don't have Derek Lively, I think Maxi Kleber means that much. He means that much more to this team. So him being listed as questionable because they don't have a bunch of bigs that's gonna go down there and rebound and box out. And Kleber is there for stretching the floor and being able to be that big because outside of him, they don't really got one. And Lively, of course. And then for the New York Knicks, you got OG Anunoby already listed as out, Quentin Grimes out, and like I said, Brunson listed as questionable. Also, Jericho Sims missed that last game versus Memphis. He's also listed as questionable with an illness. So it's going to be like those are key injuries, but you get the Knicks as dogs, and that's not something that we've seen lately. Now, of course, they're at home a little more rested than the Dallas team because the last time they played, well, no, they're not. They lost to the Lakers and then beat Memphis, but didn't cover that spread, and also let Memphis go over their team total and lost us some money the other day as well. For Dallas, third game in 4 nights, fourth game in 6 nights, and for the Knicks, this will be their 5th straight home game. So, and they do have a game against the Pacers coming up. For Dallas, this is going to be the end of a short 3-game road trip before they go back home and host OKC on Friday. Saturday. I think it's Saturday. They'll play OKC on Saturday. So yeah, it's a pass for me right now. You definitely want the Brunson news. I think he did lead a game last game. And I think it was an ankle injury. So you definitely want the status of Brunson before you really lock in on this one. Brunson is, let's make sure I'm not lying to y'all. Yeah, ankle. Yeah, listed as questionable. So no play for me here. I definitely want Brunson in. Because Dallas actually. I know they're looking to go 3-0 in this road trip because they had dropped a bunch of games. I think they're still only like 3-7 against the spread. I'm sorry, not 3-7, like 4-6 straight up, or 4-6 against the spread in their last 10 games because they dropped all those games at home when Derek Lively, Kyrie, and Luka were all out. So those are my thoughts on this game. I don't really have a strong look, especially without Jalen Brunson being there. I think the Knicks get smoked without Jalen Brunson. And it may not be a bad idea to go ahead and take the under now. The Knicks not really scoring the ball at an elite level at all. And I think they can continue to struggle in this spot as well. Dallas kind of ramping up the defense just a tad bit if Maxi Kleber is ruled in. Next game up, we got Chicago Bulls and we got the Memphis Grizzlies. This game will be played in Memphis. So this is a game I'm actually probably the most interesting game on the board for me. And I don't know if I'll get there, but I'll tell you guys straight up, I do like I think I like I haven't played anything, but I like the under. I see it going up, so definitely gonna wait and see how high it goes. I saw that 212.5. I see it all the way up to 214. And then I think this is a sneaky spot to take Memphis. Home dogs. Memphis has been pretty good as pretty good as a dog in general. But the biggest reason, situationally in this game, you got Memphis coming off it's a revenge game for them. You want to wait on the injury report. Jared Jackson Jr. and Derrick Rose are both listed as questionable. If they play, I'll take Memphis plus 5.5 here. And here's why. So you got the head-to-head revenge. The Bulls did beat Memphis 125-96 in Memphis just 2 weeks ago. 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was on January the 20th. But this is the spot. It's a spot play, right? Bulls overcame a 23-point deficit and won the game. They didn't just overcome the 23-point deficit. They won the game, but they won it in overtime against the Minnesota Timberwolves just, 1 night ago. So you'll have them off 1 day's rest. That's not the greatest spot for this team. Since 2019, you look at teams coming off an overtime win where they had to overcome at least a 20-point deficit. They're just 8-15 straight up, 6-16-1 against the spread. So they only cover in 27.3% of the time since 2019. Are teams that had to overcome a 20-point deficit because they were losing, like I said, by 23 in the first half, and they had to win in overtime. So, Memphis continues to play really, really hard. We just saw them cover that 15-point spread at Madison Square Garden, and they've covered 7 of the last 10 as well. So, Memphis looks like to me the ugly dog on the board that has the probably the best shot here. I'm interested to see where the number goes though. Like, does it touch 6? Does it kind of just stay at that 5.5? Chicago's offense isn't the greatest. I do think that Memphis. So I think it's an under game for sure. Memphis has been struggling to score the ball, but if Jared Jackson Jr. comes back, you got Luke Kennard, you got John Conchar. The injury report for this Memphis team is actually a little bit better than it typically looks. And that's I'm not trying to be funny, but they actually got some guys on the injury report that off the injury report that's typically always on the injury report. So I was looking at it and I was like, oh, this list. I mean, while it's long, it's not as long as it could possibly be. Larivia still be out, Zaire Williams, Desmond Bain, John Morant, Marcus Smart, but all those other guys, you still got Gigi Jackson, you still got Vince Williams Jr. If you get Jared Jackson Jr. and Derrick Rose, I think this could be a competitive game for Memphis in this spot. So I would be looking at them plus the 5.5, specifically because of the way the Bulls had to win their last game. So those are my thoughts on this one. Let's see, 21 minutes here. We got to hurry up. I'm trying to get out of here. All right, so next game, we got Timberwolves and Bucks. This is actually probably another – I looked at the game. I was like, I don't really like this one as much. And then after I started looking into it, I'm like, oh, okay. So let's start with the injury report. For Minnesota, they have nobody really on the injury report. And they did make that trade today, so they won't have Troy Brown Jr. Forgot who else they traded, but it's not like essential pieces that's going to really affect the handicap of the game. On the opposite side, though, Milwaukee, you got Chris Middleton already ruled out, and you got Damian Lillard listed as questionable with that. What was it? An ankle that I think he kind of like rolled that ankle a little bit after he dunked on who did he dunk on the other day? Walker Kessler, I think, in that Utah game. And of course, he missed the Phoenix game. So not sure if Dame's going to play in this one. He will, of course, move the spread. Don't really like the spot for Minnesota because they are coming off the overtime game. But the way they lost that overtime game, I think you gotta come back out here with something if you're Minnesota. And the other thing about Minnesota in this spot, and a reason to not like them is because they're coming off the overtime game. But a reason to like them is because after this game, which will be played on what's tomorrow, Thursday, they don't play again until Monday. So this team has ample time to rest. Like this is a really, really good spot for them. They play tomorrow is the 8th. They don't play again until the 12th. So that, you can kind of go all out, in this game if you want to get that bad taste out of your mouth after blowing that 23-point lead against the Chicago Bulls. For Milwaukee, not the greatest spot. First game back home off the 5-game road trip. Also, first leg of a back-to-back, and their 4th game in 6 nights as well. Now, granted, the back-to-back, I forgot who it was, but it's not like a superior opponent where they're going to be looking ahead. But this is the 4th game in 6 nights for them as well. If I was to make a play, though, and this spread is, is really, really tight. If I was to make a play, I think I go total. Even though, like I said, I kind of laid it out, and based on what I'm telling you guys, it sounds more like a Minnesota spot than a Milwaukee spot. But you do get Milwaukee off 2 straight losses. They'll be fired up here. I do think they'll be fired up. Minnesota has these lapses where they just, one, they can't score the ball. Look like they're relying too much on Anthony Edwards to kind of facilitate and take over, and then they just start turning the ball over. Milwaukee's defense has been a little bit better. Granted, they've lost, their last couple games, but their defense has looked a lot better, which is why they've been going, under in their games. And that's the play, right? The under 228.5 is the total. First of all, like, just think about a Bucks game at home. The total is always 240, 241, 242. Minnesota, the best defensive team in the league, and they've actually been playing pretty good defense on the road as well, outside of the Chicago game, of course, where they let Chicago score like 70 points in the second half. But Minnesota, 7-3 to the under in their last 10 games. Milwaukee, 5 straight unders, 7-3 to the under in their last 10 games as well. And like I said, first game back home is typically a flat spot. We saw with Phoenix yesterday, they came back home, that game went under. I'm pretty sure this Clippers game tonight is going to go under with the Pelicans as well, especially when you got 2 good defensive teams. Potentially no Dame, already no Middleton. To me, that screams, how are you going to score? You're really out there hoping, Pat Connaughton and Malik Beasley. I think those guys, and Malik Beasley played for this Minnesota team, so they'll know how to stay up on him. Those guards in Minnesota should be able to do a good job of that. A trend that I looked at that actually populated, so that also supports this under 228.5. If the total, I talked about Milwaukee being, shout out to my guy, Ron Bang. We actually just talked about this a couple weeks ago on Let's Cap. If the total is 10 points lower than the average total, because the Bucks total for their typical games is not 220 anything. They're 240, 238.5, 239. So if the total is 10 points lower than your average total, and you're a team that wins 55% of your games, so you're a pretty good team. You're also playing against a team that's a really good team, 55% win percentage or better. Since 2016, those games are 144, 73, and 7 to the under. That's 66.4%. So I'll say that one more time. If the total is 10 points lower, saying that it's low for a reason, if the total is 10 points lower than your average game total, you're a good team and you're playing against a good team. Since 2016, 144, 73, and 7 to the under. I haven't run all my systems yet for tomorrow, but this one populated, and I do think that it's the right side in this game. So I do think it's the right side as far as the total goes. I think, Minnesota, you can't rely on them offensively. And I do think Milwaukee will struggle, especially if Dame doesn't score. This game could be, a lot lower scoring. It might not even touch, especially with both teams in the situation that they're in. Milwaukee, off a couple straight losses. And Minnesota, the way that they lost that game, I'm pretty sure they'd be fired up on the defensive end. So I like the under in this game a little bit more than the side. I wanted to get there with Minnesota, thinking that they could, win this game. They do have the bodies to be able to throw at Giannis, to keep Giannis from, having 50 points. You got, Rudy Gobert, Carl Towns don't really count, but you got big guys like Naz Reid. And I think, I trust Coach Finch to, kind of draw up a game plan and not stop Giannis, but at least be able to limit him or slow him down in the spot. So those are my thoughts on that game. Real quick on the last couple of games, I don't have, the best reads on these last games, and more so just kind of wanted to let you guys know what I was thinking, and more so just because nothing really stuck out to me. Like when I go into games, I'm already thinking in my head. I typically know the spot that the teams are in. I look, do some analytical stuff, some analytical research. But this Jazz and Phoenix game to me seems about right. 6.5. The Jazz we know that they suck on the road. Phoenix second game back home off that, long road trip. And they did get a, pretty good win against the Milwaukee Bucks coming back home. But 7 seems about right, man. This Jazz team actually matches up with the Jazz, 5-5 against the spread in their last 5 games. Is and coming into this game off back-to-back wins against the Bucks and the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is, something that this team, what I was gonna say is this team actually matches up pretty well. These two teams played. I don't know if people remember, but it was back in November 17th. It was the back-to-back games, and Utah actually covered both of the numbers. Phoenix did beat them 131 to 128, but they were getting 5.5. Only lost that game by 3, and then they came back that a day of rest and played again. The spread went down to 5, and Utah only lost that game by 3 again, and that was in overtime. So I guess, maybe a look towards the over. Those totals did go over to 238. It opened at the second one opened at 239. That one went over. This one opened at 243. So the books are telling you they do expect points. But Phoenix has been playing a little bit better defense as well. Utah can't stop a nosebleed unless it's the fourth quarter and they're at home. So I guess I lean towards the over. Phoenix has dominated this team. The Utah Jazz, they've won 8 of the last 10 covered. Utah has actually covered 6 of the last 10 spreads, though. And like I said, back to back. But this is a game. What I wrote in my notes as well is you got to wait for the trade deadline. I mean, we just saw Fontecchio got traded today to the Detroit Pistons for Kevin Knox and I think like some draft picks or something. And then also I think Abaji is still going to be out in this game as well. I'm not sure. I think he's he's questionable with an illness. You also got Bradley Beal questionable with an ankle injury. Not sure if he's going to play in this game either. So those things you definitely want to wait on. Injury report and the trade, because Utah could ship this. They could ship 4 or 5 players out tomorrow, honestly, before the trade deadline ends. So this is one I would definitely wait, before playing, especially when you got ample amount of time. This game won't be played until, almost 22 hours from now. So you got time. I don't think the spread is going to move, too far one way or another. Also, Phoenix not really covering these big numbers. 7 is a pretty big number for them. Utah not playing any defense, so definitely not wanting to back them either. And like I said, you got to wait on the trade news, wait on the injury news is what my recommendation would be for this game also. And then what is it? I think it's 2 more games. And these games also, it's like very, very similar. I think you got to kind of wait on the injury news in this one as well. You got LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So Denver Nuggets will be in LA, taking on the Los Angeles Lakers. Denver is laying 3.5 points. on the road in this spot. And Denver hasn't been the greatest road team. They actually haven't been the greatest team in general covering these numbers. 3-6-1 against the spread in their last 10, only 9-16-1 against the spread on the road this season as well. But you're really just asking them to win by a bucket, almost just a bucket. So multiple possessions. But for the Lakers, not the greatest spot, right? The first game back home after a 5-game road trip. That's typically not the greatest spot. Let's see, was it 5? It was 6-game road trip. They beat Charlotte but didn't cover. Did get some pretty good wins. They needed those confidence boosting wins against Boston and New York. Of course, one of those without LeBron and Anthony Davis. But then, that's always the topic of discussion. Anthony Davis questionable. It's Achilles injury. It's a hip. And he legit may not play. I'm hoping that he plays. But I could see potentially Anthony Davis not playing this one. You also got Brown listed as questionable. In the big one, D'Lo listed questionable. He went through some like tune-up or something. I don't even know exactly what it was. I need to read a little bit more into that. You also don't have Jared Vanderbilt, who I think will be missed in this game with his defense and just being able to guard. I wouldn't say guard, but slow down Jamal Murray in this game. KCP listed as questionable with a hamstring injury. Playoff revenge, of course, but Denver also beat the Lakers to open the season. So it feels like for whatever reason, Denver just has my Los Angeles Lakers number. And whenever they play head to head, Denver gets the best of us. We saw it last year when, it was the most competitive sweep I ever seen in my life, but the Lakers did get swept last year. And then, they had a chance to go to Denver and spoil rings ceremony night, which was the last time these two teams played, to start the season. And Denver won that game and covered the 5. They won 119-107. That game did go under the 229, and you see this one listed at 231. Definitely wouldn't be hopping on the over, especially without D'Angelo Russell being a part of this game. And he was actually one of the biggest reasons why the Lakers struggled so much, in my opinion, because they were just putting him in the pick and roll. He could not guard Jamal Murray. He's a tad bit too small, not strong enough. Jamal Murray was kind of having his way, and D'Angelo Russell also wasn't making shots. So it's going to be interesting to see if he plays. Anthony Davis, LeBron James, like I said, listed as questionable. In Denver, not the greatest depth. I think that's one of their biggest downfalls is their lack of depth. Sometimes they come to play, sometimes they don't. And if KCP is not there, I think you do kind of. Honestly, you got to wait for the other news. D'Angelo Russell makes the game. When I think about D'Angelo Russell being in, I think about an over. When I think about Anthony Davis and LeBron James being in, I think, but depending on who they're playing against, I think, over or under. And then, duh. But also when I'm thinking about Denver on the road, I'm thinking under as well. Denver offense can really get stagnant on the road specifically. So, I can't play the game, without knowing that information of who's going to be in and who's going to be out. And then the last game, like I said, this card sucks for tomorrow, man. In my opinion, everybody look at it differently, but I do not like the card for tomorrow. Last game, we got the Pistons, who are right now they're winning 59-58 in Sacramento with 1 minute and 36 seconds left. Can't believe I didn't put a little something on on Detroit in this spot, man. At least in the first half or something. But yeah, you got the Pistons. They'll be getting 5.5 points, probably to one of the grossest team, Portland Trail Blazers. This line actually was at 5. I see it up to 5.5 now. Total, not really moving a lot. You guys see 229 on the screen. I think it is still 229. This is a game you'll have to wait. I think you'll have to wait on the injury report for this game as well. Not necessarily because let's just say this about Portland. Let's talk about the spot. So Detroit will be on the second leg of a back-to-back. They are 3-7 in their last 10, but they are 8-2 against the spread. And they probably going to end up covering tonight as well, which will make them 9-1. So you get Detroit on the second leg of a back-to-back. Not a lot of travel from Sacramento to Portland, but they're going to get in super late. And then you got Portland, who not the greatest team ever when you talk about, laying points. But they are 7-3 against the spread, but mostly that's because they've been big dogs. They just covered back-to-back games against Denver. We know that they spoiled Damian Lillard and Milwaukee Bucks returned back, to Milwaukee last week as well. And they also beat Philly as well. So 4 straight covers for them. They were big dogs in every single one of those games outside of the Philly one where they were 5.5 point dogs. But do you really want to lay with them? I can't do it. But if you want to take Detroit on the second leg of a back-to-back, you would hope Bogdanovich and you would hope that Cade, who aren't playing tonight, are going to be active in tomorrow's game. And you probably won't know that till right up to game time, because that's what they do with the injury report these days. So this, like I said, this game also, in my opinion, that's just how I'm looking at it. Also, if you want to lay with Portland, you would love to know the status. I know Brogdon is listed as probable, but and Jeremy Grant's also listed as probable, but you got DeAndre Ayton out because he's quite well, not out, but he's questionable with an illness, and we know that this team's not. The Portland Trailblazers is not serious about playing basketball. DeAndre Ayton and Scoot Henderson both listed as questionable. DeAndre Ayton means a lot to this team because, granted, he's a little bit lazy and a little lackadaisical, but he does a lot of the rebounding for this team. He does a lot of the defense. Like he is a pretty. If you watch DeAndre Ayton play, he brings a lot of value to this team. He really does. And if he's not there, I'd probably be looking towards an over. I do think they'll play a little bit faster. Long as Portland has Brogdon, for the most part, their offense can be fluent. I mean, you still got Shaedon Sharpe as well. I'm really just talking this game out with you guys. I know I'm not betting it. I will not have a bet. And for people who've been watching, following, I've been going super light. Y'all see, I gave out one play today, one play yesterday, because up until we get through next week, when the All-Star weekend is next weekend, until we get through then, I'm gonna be mad with myself if I give out a play and I know people are tailing it, and it's just. You just can't, determine, who's taking these games serious and who's not, who's going to play good for a half and then who's not. So that's why I've been trying to fire off the live bets, because I know things are, going to regress to the mean throughout the game at some point. And we cashed one yesterday. And like I said, I tried to give out one today, but yeah, just super light for me, man. I think, just going through real quick, if I was to go through, and talk about what the top looks were, I think the biggest one to me is the under. I like two unders, and I'll wait. I won't play them right now, but I like Chicago and Memphis to go under whatever that total is, depending the Jared Jackson Jr. news, because if Jared Jackson Jr. is ruled in, I'll probably still take the under, but the total will go up. It might even get to 216 to 216 and a half from the 214 that it's at right now. But Minnesota and Milwaukee, I do think that the under there is 228 and a half. I see a 229 on DraftKings. So like I said, just wait. You cap the games early, but then you just kind of wait. You kind of see, where the lines go, unless you absolutely love it. And I do love the under in that spot. I do think Minnesota and Milwaukee is an under game. And that's probably my favorite play on the board. Cleveland and Brooklyn could also, be an under game as well. Even though Cleveland's on the second leg of a back-to-back, like I said, I just don't trust Brooklyn's offense. Orlando team total over. The number should be like 224, 112 plus 5.5, like 116 and a half, 117 and a half. I do think that, San Antonio runs up and down the floor, and Orlando should be able to score on them, especially on the second leg of a back-to-back. And those would be the top looks. A lot of injury implications. Like I said, I just wanted to kind of come on here and give you guys the looks. I haven't made a single bet. I'll do a little bit more deep dive and go through my systems and maybe fire something off. If you guys do want access to my plays, or you want to support the channel in general, I do have a membership that's $5.99 a month. Just use the link that's in the description. It'll get you access to all the plays when I do play them. But I'm a pretty low volume bettor. I don't, I'm not out here trying to hit the big parlays or any of that stuff, man. So what else I got on this presentation for you guys? That's it, man. If you enjoy, you know what? I had one more. So resources. I know some people are like, "Hey, Chris, what do you use? What websites do you use?" Here's the resources for you guys. I said that I was going to do this, and I did. NBA.com. Advanced Stats is a big place I'm looking at for analytical stuff. I'm using all the different categories that they have. Killer Sports is where I get all the database, and Give Me the Dog as well, what the databases that I use to find these specific angles that I'm talking about when I give you guys these historical trends. And then OddsJam, always shopping for the best number. I promo OddsJam all the time. There is a promo code if you guys want to sign up. I would definitely take advantage of OddsJam. Specifically for me, I always talk about the sportsbook screen page just so I can find the best odds and jump on them, because over the course of time, it adds up. So you definitely want to be shopping around, get the best number every single time you make your bet, especially if you have available, multiple sports books in your state, 14, 15 different sports books. You should have all of them download. And then cleaning the glass is something that I am subscribed to. No paid promotion at all, but cleaning the glass has a lot of analytical data, specifically on players and teams in certain spots. So this is where, when I'm talking to you guys about how a team plays on with 2 days rest versus how, they play against an opponent that's, a top ranked defensive team, how a team plays with, Houston, for instance, without Fred VanVleet being a part of the lineup, the plus minus, the offensive rebound percentage, the assist percent, all of those different numbers come from cleaning the glass. So all helpful resources, at least in my opinion, and none of these are extremely expensive either, in my opinion. Totally subjective. And that's what I got for you guys, man. Like I said, no official plays, but wanted to kind of give you guys the insight and share just how I was kind of looking at the games for tomorrow. Like I said, I don't like the slate a lot, but there are a few looks. I will tell you guys there are a few looks for sure. So if you guys enjoyed the video, like the video, that'd be great. I'd be grateful for that. Share the video with your coworkers, your friends, your family. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Best of luck on all your action. Enjoy the games. And as always, man, bet responsibly, especially this close to the end of the season, man. That's all I got for you guys. Best of luck on your action tomorrow. ChrisBeCappinn NBA show may be back on Friday. I'm not 100% sure, but I will not be going live tomorrow. I'm out, man. Best of luck.